Speaking of stuff to enjoy,
Mm.
Percy Jackson.
Yeah.
So I never read these books.
Same.
I did watch the films that came out in the mid 2000s, which I know everyone said are not very faithful to the books, and Rick Royden wasn't happy with some of the decisions they made. But I liked the vibe of them, and I was like, "This is fun." It fit the time very much. As I was like watching the first one, I was kind of like, I could see this being the new generation's like Harry Potter. I get it. I
Hmm.
see the
Yeah. What they're
I see
going
the
for.
image.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then they announced that they were doing a TV show, and Rick Royden was going to help them, and he was actually going to be a part of the entire process this time.
Hmm.
Um, so I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, let's see what the Percy Jackson fandom is saying. And they were all like, oh, we're gonna cook. It's time. I'm like, okay, they seem excited. Let's
Yeah. I
see how they
mean,
do. Let's see where it goes. Then they announced that they were casting actual children to play the children, not 19-year-olds pretending to be 14. I was like, okay, we might have something here.
yeah,
Um, so we decided to watch episode 1 and 2,
we did.
and so far I'm thoroughly impressed.
Same. I thought it was
It
really enjoyable.
it was really good. The acting is really tight.
Yeah.
The story is obviously I watched the first film, The Lightning Thief, which is what season one's going to be based on. So like it didn't feel completely alien to me because I know the overall story. But there's already been some parts that I don't remember from The Lightning Thief or weren't in the film and were cut from the book. Like
Right.
were cut from the book to make the film.
Yeah.
Like the whole like Clarissa arc in episode 2. I don't remember that in the film.
I wouldn't surprise me if it got cut then.
So I don't think that happened before. And I really enjoyed it. It's
Yeah. No.
it's
I thought it was really
I
enjoyable.
yeah, like
And
the CG on the Minotaur was pretty okay. It wasn't horrific, but it was okay.
there was only a couple of times. That was my like all the other CG looked good, looked very well polished. The horse, I think there's a couple of times where I'm like, that's a digital double. That's like a full digital thing. They haven't just comped him on. But then I think a little bit of that is Uncanny Valley
Yeah.
because to me the proportions feel weird. But I think that's because of Uncanny Valley. But like they're very clever. You can tell when they've used an actual horse
Yeah.
on tight shots on Percy, and it's just showing the back. It was like that's clearly a real horse walking alongside him. And then
Oh,
they would
okay. I think
just
you slightly misheard what I said. I
well,
think you heard Senator and I said Minotaur.
oh, I thought you were on about the
Mhm.
Senator. Sorry, the
No, no, no.
Minotaur
I mean,
looks sick.
yeah, I think they did a really good job with the Minotaur. There was a couple of bits where it looked a bit weird when he was moving, but when you're
Eh,
trying to animate a mythical creature, sometimes it's not that easy to get it perfect, I'd imagine.
they were smart that they used him at night in the
Yeah.
rain. It's the Jurassic Park trick
To
where
be fair, I'm pretty sure in the books it does happen at night when it's raining as well.
probably,
Like I'm pretty sure it's described that way. Um, so shout out Rick Royden for making the animator's life easier while
yeah,
writing the books. But yeah, it looks good so far. I'm looking forward to it. The 2 episodes of this so far have already given me context that I didn't have when watching the film.
yeah,
Like I'm 99% sure they never referenced the mist in the film.
okay. I
Um,
I don't even know if I actually really. I may have seen bits of the first film, but I don't even really remember the films at all. If I
um,
have,
yeah, I feel like they never referenced the mist in the film. I might be misremembering. Um, so like I was always a little bit like, oh, why is no one doing anything? Oh, it's magic, so it must be different or whatever. Like you understand that there must be a reason, but
yeah,
they never. Whereas this was like, he's like, why wasn't anyone reacting to that? Why wasn't anyone doing anything? It's like, oh, it's because of the mist, and because you're a demigod, you can kind of see through the mist, but because you don't know you're a demigod, the mist still kind of works. Blah
yeah,
blah 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 blah. They explain the whole concept differently to the way the film did. In the film, it's explained that to keep him safe from the Minotaur and all the evil beings
mm,
before he knew what he was. that's why the mum was with the horrible boyfriend,
Okay.
because he stinks and he covers up his like demi blood scent.
Okay.
Um,
Such a
whereas
cop
in
out.
this, whereas in this they don't reference that at all. So I don't know if that was something that was from the books originally, or if it was different.
My approach is going to be that if things weren't in the film but they're in the show, the film was wrong.
Yes, I would be comfortable going that way as well. Because also the boyfriend didn't seem as horrific
Hmm.
in this as he did in the
Yeah, he was
film.
just like a little
In the
bit annoying.
film, he like assaulted Percy, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, okay. They've kind of amped
Um,
that up then, probably.
yeah, so I don't know if they've just gone, we're not going to have a grown man actually like getting physical with a 14-year-old child,
Hmm.
or if the film just decided to go that route instead, or what. Um, but I
I mean,
like the feeling of the camp where everyone's like legit kind of 12 to 16, and
yeah.
it makes it feel a lot scarier and more uncomfortable, and you definitely dislike the gods a little bit more, knowing they've put all of these kids in danger because they can't keep it in their pants.
Yeah. I think as well, for someone who hasn't read the books, like I have some concept of what it's about. But like I couldn't remember exactly which was his god. And like the fact that double dropped an episode to start has got it to a point from, for someone like me who hasn't read the books, doesn't really remember what the films were about, hasn't paid it much attention. I feel like I'm in a spot now after 2 episodes where I'm like, okay, I understand the concept of the world we're in. I understand what Percy is, and I now know who his god is.
Yeah, and
And
I
quest
agree
set
that,
up.
yeah, the 2 episode start is the exact same thing that we saw in Andor. It's
Yep.
beautiful. Here is the context you need to know where the story really starts for the story we're trying to tell.
Mhm.
Because the story isn't about him finding out he's a demigod and getting to the camp. That's not the story. That's the
No.
setup.
Yep.
Which in a book you can take however many pages you want to do that. You
Yep.
don't want to take an entire season of a show doing that setup. So instead of giving us a 30-minute episode and a 40-minute episode over 2 weeks, in which case people might be like, oh, it's a bit slow in it.
Hmm.
Especially because Netflix have ruined it and made everything binge culture. They kind of go, right, we'll give you 2 episodes that you can
Yeah.
watch over 2 weeks if you want to, or you can just watch them both straight away. It will give you a more extended taste of how we're doing stuff. And we're going to leave you on an actual cliffhanger
Mm.
of, boom, this is where the quest starts.
Yeah.
So you don't know the story then if you like you don't remember much of the story if you don't remember who his dad was.
Oh no, I couldn't remember. I
Okay,
had in my head a guess, like, and as it was going on, I was like, I think I'm right here.
okay,
It
cool.
must have come
So
from some memory of like who he was.
cool. So I remember the major plot points of this film. Not
Okay,
obviously every individual conversation, but I
right.
remember the major plot points. So it's going to be really interesting. I'm going to have to be careful with what I say because I don't want to ruin the
Yeah, I have
story for
no
you.
clue.
Okay, cool. It's going to be very interesting for me to try and work out when you get it.
Figure stuff out.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. This will be fun. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to watching more of this. I was
Yeah,
hopeful
same.
when I like saw like the trailer of it and how excited like diehard Percy Jackson fans were,
Hmm.
and now to see their first episodes, I'm like, yeah, I think this is a little bit of me, little bit of fantasy to go in with all the
Well, yeah.
supernatural sci-fi
Who
never hurts.
doesn't like a Greek god?
Exactly. Who among us? Right.